What is going on, Nuggets Nation, NBA fans? I am Tom Leuthner. Welcome back to Nuggets Today. This episode is coming out a few days after the presser, but I do want to break down the presser with, obviously Josh Kroenke and David Adelman because this is massive news, obviously, for Denver. So there's going to be two straight episodes on it, this episode and next episode. The first thing I want to break down is the constant support. And I know that people don't think that this is the biggest deal in the world. And I believe I had said it a few episodes ago at the end of the year presser that David Adelman had said had after the season ended. And I think it's pretty big. And I'll get into why I think it's pretty big. So the first two things I want to cover are the fact that Jamal Murray and Julian Strawther were at the presser, which is huge for me because, obviously DA has a backing from Denver now that maybe we didn't see towards the end of Mike Malone's tenure, which I think that was the reason that he was fired. They said that there was too much locker room drama and the players weren't high on him at the end of this time being there, it seemed like. So seeing the fact that Strawther and Murray were there, as well as the team backing David Adelman and praising him and wanting him to get the head coach job when Malone was fired, is very big news to me, especially because what he said in the press conference, quote unquote, was confidence comes from trust. And I believe that's 100% true. Obviously, Denver's looking for every way to upgrade this offseason that we've seen. Maybe that's with staying with the same five that Denver currently has. But I think the backing from the players is amazing. I think it's also good that his relationship with them is not anything that's super serious. He's able to joke around with them, it seems. He made some jokes about Jamal. He made a joke here and there about Strawther. I think that's truly great to see. I know that people don't think, like I said, it's the biggest thing in the world, but I think that the trust builds culture in the organization. I think that's what Denver needs, especially because it's something that we'll get into next episode. But I think that it builds culture within the Denver organization. And again, like I said, that's what Denver needs. They need a leader, and I think that David Adelman is showing that he can be that leader, and the trust is there from these people to believe in him and attempt to allow him to lead them to the promised land, which is the NBA Finals. I did cover this at the end of the season, and I do appreciate his accountability, and that is another thing I'll get to maybe next episode. But he is very accountable for everything that he was dealt and everything that had happened, and I appreciate that because it takes a lot for somebody to come out and say, I should have done this better, I should have made these changes, this is on me. Not a lot of people do that, and he was able to come in, coached 3 games in the regular season, go to 2 Game 7s, and was able to come out and admit, it was my fault on these certain changes, and I need to make this change, I need to do this. And, again, it all comes down to it. And another thing that it comes down to, which I've been talking about, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I know some people don't like the topic, but that is the development. So there are many key points made about his development plan. And, I'm writing all this down because I'm trying to listen, I'm trying to take everything in. I really enjoyed the fact that David Adelman wants to come out with a 9 to 10 man rotation. It's going to lead to frustration, as we all know, so brace yourself from now. And, we have obviously months before the season even starts, but brace yourself from now. It's more than likely looking like Denver's going to come out with a 9 to 10 man rotation to start the season. And David Adelman said he wanted to break that down to, I believe, an 8-man rotation or 8.5-man rotation for that to be perfect for Denver. He stated that he had internal, people in the organization that will help create the depth needed, which is something, again, I've been huge on because some teams are going to be made out of the depth that they have, especially if they can't make many moves. Like I said, I think that Denver should go out and get Taurean Prince. I think he's perfect for the bench. I think maybe Talen Horton-Tucker's good. But if you could develop 3 of those guys, like Deron Holmes, Strawther, Payne Watson, maybe Trey Alexander, now you're set. Because your team is built. You built around Jokic. You built a bench around him. If you're not able to go out and get what you need, and you're only able to develop, like I said, I do think that team success is built through people being developed rather than going out and signing everybody. Not to say that won't work, because obviously we've seen it work. The Warriors were able to do it without KD. Once they got KD, it was better. The Cavs weren't able to do it without LeBron. They got LeBron. But Denver's not making those kinds of signings, obviously. Denver's going to make a minimum signing or a mid-level exception signing that's going to attempt to help Jokic out. That's the thing. So I think that, like I've said, I think that the talent may have to come from inside the organization, even though there's not much to work with there. We've seen some of the guys. But like I said, he did say in order to grow into a role, you have to earn the role, and I think that's massive. Like I said, he took accountability for the coaching decisions he made, saying that there had to be moves that were made on his part, playing a guy earlier, maybe getting some guys out later. But I like that. I like that statement because I think that he's now putting his foot down and he's now saying this is not Mike Malone and Calvin Booth's team. There's no GM at the moment of this recording, but he is saying this is now David Adelman's team, and to get onto the court, you will have to earn that. And earning that comes from summer camp, which is my next topic. He broke down what he wants within his camps and the summer camp. He did say he wants to be more creative. He said that he wants to keep the players entertained, which I think is a massive upgrade and something that we needed to see, is that we cannot continue to play the same brand of basketball that wasn't working. So he was saying that he wanted to be creative, let his guys be excited for next season, and he's going to switch things up. He made some interesting points. He said that he doesn't want to play a demanding man defense, and that's why he wants to go in the zone. And he's sort of right. He said that it may lead to more injuries because now you're playing a demanding man. If you're in that zone, it's helping you get out to somebody, maybe avoiding less contact, which leads to less injury, which is funny to say, sort of ironic, because throughout the entire playoffs, we're not playing that demanding man defense, and we were injured. Almost everybody was injured, actually. But he did say he wants to see more defensive variety. And then he said when it comes to offense, the execution has to be better, and he wants to slow down the pace. He said that the slowing down the pace is what's going to help them, because the fast pace, and this is, if you go back and look at the stats of Denver, they led the NBA throughout the regular season in fast-paced basketball, and I think that was great. But the thing that happened in that is that they weren't as fast as other teams, so it led to slower transition defense, which led to more buckets for a team like the Thunder when it came to the finals, and they were able to, or the playoffs rather, and they were able to shut it down. So I think that that's a smarter brand of basketball. You can push the pace. Pace is going to come in basketball. Everybody knows that. Denver can push the pace when they need to push the pace, but if you're able to finally come out and hit the shots, that's the biggest thing in the world, realistically. He also said that he wants to find a way to get Denver's workout trainers and everybody in their system to come out and work with the workout trainers and the people and the people's personal systems, like guys like Aaron Gordon, obviously, Jokic, Strother, Murray, Brown. So I think that's awesome that he wants to combine these two systems and help each player out for what he wants to do for them to develop, which again, I think is great. Like I covered, I believe 2 episodes or 3 episodes ago, there are certain ways that certain players need to develop, and I think he's finding that out and pinpointing that and sending that from his team, which is Denver's organization, over to their team to get them to figure that out. And we saw that it's able to happen with shooting splits from Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown from last year to this year. We saw that those jumps can happen. It's not impossible, but it has to happen. The other thing that has to happen is next year, Denver has to execute, and this is something that David Adelman covered. And I think his exact words were, actually, I don't remember the exact quote, but he believes that they have to execute rather than pay attention what the analytics say. Like I was just saying, he thinks that they played amazing in the fast-paced environment last year, but in the playoffs it wasn't working, so that's why he wants to slow down the ball. He said that if you're playing a slower brand of basketball, a slower game of basketball, you're going to hit the shots that you need to hit when you need to hit it rather than just chucking shots up. Like I said, OKC was able to stop it. Denver wasn't able to hit the shots they needed. And that's something I'm going to cover next episode. It was fully, obviously Adelman and Josh Kroenke, they figured out what was needed. And that's something that, again, I'm going to cover next episode because it's super important what they had said. They realized Denver needs to shoot and hit shots in order to win. Obviously, it's a no-brainer, but hit the big shots in order to win, which Denver wasn't able to do. Like I said, the slower game of basketball may end up being better for Denver because now you're going to figure out how to play together as a team, and that might be getting some of the younger guys involved. Again, I know some people are a little skeptical on that, and I think that they should bring in, if they can get 2 guys, like a guy like Seth Curry, if that's able to happen, even though people don't like it, THT to come in, Taurean Prince to come in, Kornet to come in and hit some shots when they need them to hit it. Obviously, Kornet's not going to shoot the ball. But those are some of the massive points I've taken away from David Adelman's first presser as head coach officially. And again, I'm going to have a whole another episode on 4 different topics after this. So stay along, subscribe, like, and we'll cover that tomorrow. Again, I am a few days out from the presser. This is going to be recorded the day of the presser, and it's going to come out a few days later. So stay tuned, and don't get too mad at me. If you're watching to the end of this, you'll understand what I just said. And have a good one, Nuggets Nation. I'll catch you guys soon.